Hello and welcome everyone to the Blockchain Developer Carnival. I am so excited that we are here today having a little bit of fun with all of our developer colleagues across the ecosystem. I see that we've got a whole bunch of people already watching on YouTube. How is everybody doing? Hello. If you want to put in the chat where you're from, maybe we'll do some brief introductions here, and then we will kind of dive into the day. So my name is Stephen Fluin, and I am head of developer relations here at Chainlink Labs, working on Chainlink. Sol?
Yes, my name is Solange Gueiros. The people call me Sol. I am based in Brazil and I am a developer advocate here in Chainlink Labs.
And then we also have Andre. Do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, at least for me, Andre just dropped his video connection. So this is going to be a very, very fun, loose day. We're going to have people dropping in throughout. We're going to have different cast of characters throughout the event. But again, we're here to have a little bit of fun. We've got people from Cornfield, Ohio. Someone is in a cornfield with a laptop, maybe a 5G card. We got London, Athens, a couple people in London, Pakistan, people all over the world, Algeria. This is awesome. So, and we've got a couple more people joining back in here. We've got Andre and Richard. Richard, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Richard Gottlieb. I'm also a developer advocate and looking to just, have some fun today.
Awesome. And then Andre.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Andre, also a new developer advocate at Chainlink Labs. So happy to be a part of this event.
All right. Well, before we get into any of the fun activities, I want to kind of just set things up for everyone. And so we've got a couple little slides here. If you've been paying attention to Chainlink, you've probably seen a lot of our past events and presentations, right? We've got boot camps, which are fantastic, right? These instructor-led ways to guide you through becoming a blockchain developer. We've got hackathons where you can accelerate your career. You can build something very cool, share it with the world, win a bunch of prizes. We've got SmartCon where we bring in some of the best content. We've got video series, all these sorts of things. All of these events are relatively standard, right? People have seen conferences before, people have seen boot camps before, people have seen hackathons before. And so all of those have a very nice level of polish. There's some of the industry leading events. This event's going to be a little bit different because this is a new format that we've never actually tried before. We as a team were sitting down a couple months ago and we said, okay, we've got all this great developer content that's going to help people learn and grow their careers. But what if we did something that was a little bit different? And we wanted to really focus on this idea of just having a dumb little fun event so that developers could come together and actually participate. So what should you expect throughout today? So we're only going to be here for a few hours and there's going to be a bunch of different parts, but I want to kind of break it down. So I love working with developers, but when you think about all these events that we do, like the boot camps and the hackathons and all these presentations at SmartCon and conferences, things like that, it ends up feeling a little bit like this, right? We're up on a stage and everyone else is out there sitting and watching. And that's not really a good connection if you love actually working with developers and hearing from developers and letting everyone be part of a conversation. And so what I want to do today is really flip this around. And I want it to feel more like this. I want everyone that is watching right now to be interacting and participating and engaging. So if you were hoping to just sit back and watch a live stream, you can definitely do that. But I do hope that you'll kind of sit up and try some of these activities that we're doing today. So this is really trying to be a new kind of developer event that is first and foremost welcoming, right? We want everyone to be part of this event and part of this industry. And we feel like the more human connections that we can make, the more friends that we can make, the more effective we're going to be in our lives and in our jobs. This is participatory. So we're going to be doing trivia. We're going to be doing coding challenges. And I hope that everyone takes a stab at some of these things and puts forth their effort. And we actually try and build something together. This is going to be real time. So we're going to put this on YouTube after the fact so people can watch it and things like that. But most of the value is going to be here attending, being part of it as we do this. And we'll see if people are interested in this. And we'll come back and we'll revise this to make it better. And I also kind of wanted an esports feel. So we've seen that we've done this a couple times now with speedrunning, and that is one of the activities we're going to be doing today, where really I want to elevate the best among us and say, wow, that's so cool. Look at how they did this. And we can learn from them. We can all grow by watching these people that are artists and masters of their craft. So today's both experimental in terms of like we have not done this before. And so we're going to mess up and that's going to be okay. We're just going to keep going. So hopefully we have lots of your help with this, and it's going to be interactive. And so tell us how you're feeling. If you're hating it, if you're loving it, whatever you're feeling, whatever responses you have, we're going to have a survey link throughout the event that we're going to keep coming back to. So please keep the feedback coming. We want to hear from you. So a quick test of the interactivity. So we've got a lot of people watching live. So here's the test for everyone that's watching live right now. What is your favorite food? Put your favorite food in the chat. And I'm gonna start calling out some of the folks. So obviously, my favorite food. It's dumb. It's cliche. It's pizza. Sol, what's your favorite food? Oh, chocolate. Yep. Chocolate.
Yes,
I don't know if I could ever turn down chocolate. I know Melody from the team also could never turn down chocolate. For some reason, whenever we have a meeting, we always talk about chocolate for like, I don't know, half the meeting. What about you, Richard?
This is a tough one. I was trying to figure out what it was. I like a lot of foods. Right now it's morning, so scones are on my mind. I'm jonesing for a sconesin.
Okay, we've got all sorts of answers in the chat. So participation here, awards for everybody. We've got, I think that's a sushi icon. We've got tacos, burritos. Some people agree on the pizza. Twinkies, but Linkies. I guess I get it. Yeah. Dosa. How do I even pronounce this? Bacalhau? Does anyone know how to pronounce that? And then Andre, what about you? What's your favorite food?
Yeah, it's tough one. When I was younger, it was definitely pizza, but right now I'm also like to eat some pasta and fruits, like for dessert, different kinds of fruit salads, smoothies, all those types of things. I like to eat.
You've got a more refined palate. Looks like we've got a bunch of people with refined palate. So some people like Portuguese food. Oh, bacalhau is Portuguese. Sol, have you eaten bacalhau? Is that good?
No, it's bacalhau.
Bacalhau. Thank you. But is it good? Have you tried it?
Yes, I love it. This is a Portuguese food, but also we have here in Brazil, and it's amazing.
Awesome. And Andy's jonesing for a sconesin, which is always a good choice. Whoops. All right. So everyone passed that. So fantastic job. And now that we're all together, I'm actually going to go through some of the actual structure and the activities we're going to be doing today. So there's going to be 3 main events that we're going to cover today. The first is going to be a trivia contest. So we're going to be asking questions about what it's like to build smart contracts. We're going to be asking questions, testing you on your solidity knowledge, your blockchain knowledge, your ecosystem knowledge, your history of some of the blockchain space. Then we're going to go into a coding contest. So this is a relatively traditional coding contest, but instead of being able to use whatever language you want, Python, JavaScript, whatever, you have to use Solidity. You actually have to be building smart contracts to participate. And then in the end, we're going to take the points that people earned in the trivia and the coding contest, and we're going to try and elevate the top people that are willing, and we're going to invite them on to actually do some speed running and have some fun. If you've seen any of our speedrunning in the past, there's a little bit of overlap in terms of like we're doing very simple projects like ship an ERC20. We've ratcheted up the difficulty here today because we think that everyone's going to be doing an amazing job. So let me break this agenda down with a little bit more detail. So specifically, we kick things off here today at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and I'll just use Eastern time for everything. I apologize for all of those, for basically everyone in the chat that has to do these mental time zone conversions that we're all getting so used to. We're going to do trivia first, and then we'll dive into the coding contest. And what we'll do is we'll set up the challenges, and we'll explain how everything's going to work. And then we'll actually go off air for a little bit and let everyone take a little bit of time to complete the coding challenges. And then we'll go and judge those after the time ends. So we got 12:30 time where we're going to say, hey, submissions have to be in by then. So we actually have time to judge them and go and see, okay, does the code work? How gas efficient is it? All those sorts of things. And then we'll come back, we'll present the results, and we'll do some speed running at 1:30. So there's things to be doing kind of all day here, but we'll be actually off air from it in terms of a live stream for a little bit in the middle there. So I'm going to be putting this link up throughout. If you are enjoying the event, or if you think, no, this is dumb, I just want to learn how to build things with Chainlink, please let us know. So we've got the survey bit.ly/BDC survey. I'll be putting this link throughout. So if you do end up leaving early, if you end up having to step out, please fill out the survey because we really appreciate the feedback, right? We do these events for you to make you successful. And so we care about that. And so, all right, we're going to go now into trivia. Trivia is a little bit weird. There is no perfect trivia platform that perfectly connects to the way that we want to do things with the coding challenge and then building up into the speed run. And so we're going to be using a platform called Kahoot, which is a fun little platform, but it is not really designed for very serious like coding challenges and contests and things like that. Because one of the things you'll notice is that the first thing I ask you is like, what nickname do you want to use? And you can basically type in any nickname that's not already in use. But the challenge here for us is that how do we connect back the results from the Kahoot, the trivia, to the coding contest so that we can kind of sum up all of your points. And so we've got a couple tips here. So number one, I'd say pick a unique username. So try and come up with something with, I don't know, some numbers or something that's special to you. And then if you do want to compete for prizes after you pick a username, we've got this little tiny form that just has a couple questions where it's what Kahoot username did you pick? And then what is your actual email address so that we can privately follow up with you, aggregate your points, invite you to the speed running, all those sorts of things. And so what we're going to do in a second is we're going to go to the speed running. Or excuse me, we're going to go to the trivia, and we'll jump into Kahoot, and we'll all pull out our phones, and then write down whatever username you pick. And obviously, you have to fill this form out before the trivia starts, because if we let people fill it out after the trivia starts, then I would say, oh, who's top on the leaderboard? That's me, which is not ideal here. So we're going to join a Kahoot. And so if you've never done a Kahoot before, basically, we're all going to go to kahoot.it or .it on your phone or on your computer. And then it should ask you for a number, and we're all going to do this together. And you'll get the number again in a second. It'll just be on screen. 4842875. And if I've done everything right, that should work. Barack says we should have had a decentralized trivia platform. I completely agree. And if you build it, we will tell the world for you. Will there be royalty-free lo-fi beats? We're working on it. I can't guarantee anything. That would be good. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look. And again, if you want to participate in the prizes and things like that, and the speed running, and actually have your score aggregated over time versus just having fun, go to bit.ly BDC Kahoot. All right, but I'm going to jump over now to the Kahoot and see if there are some people there waiting for us. All right, we have a whole bunch of people joining. Here, and actually, someone just made a really good point that we should add the Kahoot to the chat. So let me do that real quick. This is going to be it. So there's the link for the Kahoot. And if you want to register for prizes and whatnot, here's the tiny little form you need to fill out. All right, so we have both of those. And we've got a bunch of people in here. All right, so we got about most of the live stream is actually in here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start the trivia. So Kahoot at work. All right, the trivia is starting. So if you have it up, so the first set of questions that we're going to ask about is history. And so I want to make sure that I'm including our little group here. Richard, what's your favorite moment in blockchain history so far?
Put me on the spot.
It's a tough question.
Favorite moment?
It's a carnival. You never know what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
Richard.
Trying to think. I think probably my favorite moment was first learning about it. And that's not blockchain history for anybody but me, but I think that's probably my favorite moment. Thinking through like actual history, learning about like the DAO scam and when that happened, probably a dark moment in blockchain history, but I don't know, just learning about the history like that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the history is rich already, despite how short blockchain technology has been around, and yet so much has happened, right? Like there's so many important points. What about you, Sol?
The last moment for me it was when the Ethereum 2.0 went live in December of last year. It was amazing. And a particular moment for me, it's my first blockchain conference international. It was LabitConf in Bogota. Changed my life.
Very, very nice. A lot of both personal moments and shared moments there. All right, here comes the first part of the quiz about history. What was the date of the Chainlink launch on mainnet? So you have 30 seconds to answer. And there's a few options here. So all of these are going to be multiple choice questions. And I believe the way that Kahoot does it is that you get points based on how fast you answer in addition to whether or not you get the answer right. And so I know a bunch of people are probably whipping out a computer or a phone and Googling some of these answers, but it will show up in your scores if you take a while to answer. All right, there we have it. 8 people said May 2019, 6 said September of 2017. So let's see the scoreboard here. Wombo Combo is in number 1 at 794 points. There we go. All right, next question here in blockchain history. Who was not an author of the Chainlink 1.0 white paper? So note the negation there. Requiem is asking everyone in the chat, don't spoil the answer if you know it, which is good advice here. See, this one's a little, so I've intentionally chosen a bunch of questions that are harder to Google, because if you Google Chainlink white paper, almost all of the results are the 2.0 white paper, which is a little bit different. But we've got 16 answers of Lorenz. Let's see if that is right. It is right. So, Ness Campos has just hit the leaderboard here. Wombo Combo is still in the lead. Let's keep going here. What was the first Solidity version to support addition or multiplication overflow checks natively? So this is the moment in Solidity where suddenly we don't actually need safe math in all the same ways that we used to need safe math. So a little bit of history of Solidity. And looking back at the chat, we've got Wisam is saying that the best moment for that person was when they discovered smart contracts, which to me is like a completely separate discovery from blockchain. 16 answers that are correct again. Wow, everyone here is so good at this sort of trivia. Oh, but Wombo Combo has been knocked out of the lead. Now we've got Jason is on top here, followed by Lone Wolf. When was the EIP standard for NFTs created? So do you know the number of the EIP? Do you know the dates? Tippy clicked the wrong answer, even though they knew it. That can be frustrating. You think you're going square and you end up going triangle. Can happen. Happens to the best of us. Three, two, one. Ooh, this was a much harder question. Both the first answer and the second answer were neck and neck. But it was 2018, January 24th is the date on the NFT EIP. Ooh, Jason is still in the lead. Lone Wolf has dropped out of second place. Now we've got Jat. Which project started first? So these are all history questions. So if you've been around in blockchain a while, you're definitely gonna have a leg up on everyone else, because all of these are tools that are very popular, used by many, many people. But if you were around a year ago or two, you'll know that we didn't have all these tools, and it was a much harder time to be a smart contract developer. Ooh, most people thought that Truffle came out before Web3.js, but that wasn't quite right. I think if you look back in the Git history, Web3.js came out first. Let's see what that did to the scores. Lone Wolf is back in second place. Jason is still on top. And up 9 places, Dungeon is the highest climber. So it is not too late to join. If you have just joined this live stream, we are on Kahoot playing some blockchain trivia. The original implementation of Chainlink direct request jobs, or any API. What kind of job? So if you have ever spun up a Chainlink node, you will be much better at answering this question. What kind of job, what kind of node job was the original implementation of direct request made via? This one's harder. I'm expecting fewer people to get this right. Oh, most people thought it was an event request, but it was actually called a run log job. And one of the trivia, to expand on the trivia just a tiny bit, the 1.0.0 version of the node software actually doesn't have the same sort of equivalent of run log job set, because we switched to TOML jobs. And so you have to make a different kind of job if you want to make the same sort of any API request. Let's see what that did. Oh, Jason has been knocked out of first place. Lone Wolf is now in number 1. Wisdom is back. Let's keep going here. So the next set of questions, so we've finished history. We've now moved on to building with blockchain. So we've moved on from questions like when did things come out? How did things get released? All the way to now just questions that if you are currently building with Solidity, building with blockchain, you will be able to answer a lot of these questions. What is the minimum size for a uint in Solidity 0.8? Can you make a uint 2? Can you make a uint 4? Can you make a uint 8? Or do you have to make a uint 32? This was something that tripped me up when I first started with Solidity, because I wanted to make all my uints as small as possible. Ooh, 13 people guessed uint 8, which is the right answer. Fantastic. Lone Wolf got 3 right in a row and is back in the game and on top of the game, more than just back in. Which is the most gas efficient? Call data, memory, or storage? So this is when you're setting up new variables, when you're setting up parameters, arguments, which one's going to be the most gas efficient? Yeah, but Tippy's saying it turns out if small uints, if they're stacked poorly, don't save gas. Yeah, if you are using them in a struct that can't effectively use them. Ooh, so 13 people wrote memory, but it was actually call data. So the magic with call data is that it doesn't actually create any new memory to use that, right? It's using memory that was created by another function. And so whenever you can use call data instead of creating your own memory, you should just use call data. Tony is now in second place. And LX or IX, I'm not sure, is the highest climber, up 8 places. We're going to keep going. We're almost halfway through. What's the block time on Coven? So block time, obviously on Ethereum, I think is, what is it, 15 seconds? Am I crazy, Sol, Richard, Andre? But what is it on Coven? It's clearly less than 15 seconds. But how fast is it? And I'm curious. Jayakumar, I apologize if I trounced your name. You can participate by going to kahoot.it, the link at the bottom, or the URL at the bottom, and entering the game pin. 4 seconds. Yep, 10 people got that right. We will keep moving here. Can I read the options quickly? Yes. I can definitely do that. He said it's hard on the smartphone. Tippy is back into the top. Which of these is a dependency of the @Chainlink contracts NPM package? So whenever you're going to be integrating with Chainlink, you're going to be using the Chainlink contracts NPM package. What dependencies does that come with? So we've got red ethers, blue hard hat, yellow @Chainlink/core, or none of these in green. Wisam says that the way he got on the leaderboard was picking randomly, which if you can pick randomly, you are doing a fantastic job. All right, we've got most people thinking it was @Chainlink core. There is no such thing as an @Chainlink core package on NPM, so it was a trick, but 8 of you got that right. Oh, and that has brought Tony into the lead here. Andy is saying that Wissam is getting all this right via VRF, which could totally be true. What's the max size of a Solidity contract? Is it red 8 KB, blue 25 KB, yellow 512 KB, or green 1 megabyte? And there's tildes because there's decimal places and whatnot. So it's about those numbers. Tippy says the trickiest question we've had so far was the favorite moment in blockchain history. Is that because you don't remember any, or because it's hard to pick a favorite? All right, the correct answer was 25 KB. It's actually 25. It's some, obviously 2 to the something power times something. So it's like 24,567 or something like that, or 568 KB is the max size of a Solidity contract. That was actually specified and clarified in an EIP. Ooh, that's done a bunch. So Wissam's back up in second place. Tippy's in third place. Lone Wolf. Jason's still on top here. What is the smallest unit of an account for the link token? So this is kind of a half technical question, half history question, because there's no, I'll say, official, like, we haven't put this in our documentation, but this term has been around for a while. Is it red a Linky, a blue Nazarov, yellow Jules, or green Ellis? And 10 people got this right. It was Jules, named after Ari Jules, who is one of the authors of the original white paper and on the research team at Chainlink Labs. All right, Lone Wolf has moved into first place. Let's keep going. What kind of consensus does Ethereum currently use? Is it proof of work, Nakamoto consensus, proof of stake, or Casper the friendly finality gadget? I'm going to thank Patrick for contributing this question. What kind of consensus? And maybe I'll give a hint. Think about what consensus means when you answer this one. Giveaway question. 15 Master Sword says. Proof of work. So the tip I gave there is proof of work is not actually the consensus mechanism. It's actually the Nakamoto consensus. So it's that's the mechanism by which all of the nodes end up coming to a consensus. So it was a bit of a trick question. Looks like Jason got that one right and stepped up into second place. And Always Blue moved up 7 places that question. Which contract should I fund with? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Always Blue seems like a solid strategy. Just staying on brand.
Which contract should I fund with Link to use Chainlink Keepers? My contract in red, blue, any contract calling mine, yellow, the Link token contract, or green, the Keepers registry? I mean, Always Blue is not the worst strategy since we're all wearing blue. If you just look across, I think we're all wearing the same shirt, exact t-shirt too.
I didn't get the memo.
Green was the answer this time. 12 people got that right with the Keepers registry. Just updating the scores a little bit. How many parameters can a Solidity function take? 8 in red, 16 blue, 32 yellow, green 64. This is pushing the limits of everyone's Solidity knowledge, because I don't know how you would know this until you actually hit that limit. And if you have 64 parameters in your function, you might be having a bad time.
I had problems with this in the past.
Most people got it right. 13 people picked 16, which was the correct answer. And that shifted up the scores a little bit. Tony is now in second place, and Andy B is in on the leaderboard now. What type is used for the randomness returned by Chainlink's VRF? So this is a typing question. So when you're getting a random number from Chainlink VRF, is it red, a uint64, blue, a uint256, yellow, a bytes, or green, a bytes 32? What type do you get back when you ask for a random number? All right, we've got 20 people saying it was a uint 256. And this is actually not, it was a bytes 32 was the right answer. So this actually is a great comment for all of us on the Chainlink Labs team. We should maybe reconsider what return type we have as the default for our VRF. Because if people both think it's a uint 256, maybe they want it to be a uint 256. Do people want it to be a uint 256? Put it in the chat if you want it to be a uint 256, because we're always trying to make Chainlink better. Lone Wolf looks like picked up some points there. And Jat jumped up 8 places in that last question. Which of the following isn't an effective tool or pattern for creating upgradable contracts? So, upgradable contracts are a very controversial part of blockchain right now, which tries to blend the ability to update and change your software over time, but then does that create centralization concerns? So we've got transparent proxy pattern in red, universal upgradable proxy pattern in blue, EIP 2535 in yellow, or these are all effective tools in green. Kelvin is commenting on the VRF question. I think assumption is random equals a number, so uint 256 makes sense. And the answer 18, these are all effective tools. Great job, everyone. Ooh, Andy B is now in 4th place. Why are external functions cheaper than public functions? Red, they have shorter names. Blue, the function isn't stored with your contract. Yellow, they're actually more expensive. Or green, they don't copy arguments. Why are external functions cheaper than public functions? 15 Master Sword says, these are great questions, loving it. Thank you so much. So 17, the function isn't stored with your contract. That's was 17 people thought that. To my knowledge, that is not actually true. The function is still part of your compiled like assembly. Like it is still embedded in the smart contract. So if you go look at the on Etherscanner, if you look at the compiled code, the function actually does exist in your contract. So it's the fact they don't copy arguments. That's why they get cheaper. So it's similar to that call data question. Andy B jumping up into 3rd place. All right, so now we're moving to the final set of questions, which is all about the ecosystem. And so let me just take a moment. Andre, who's your favorite product or company or team in the ecosystem that's not Chainlink? We may have lost Andre again. Are you still here?
I thought that the question will be what's my favorite animal because of this nice question, because of this nice picture. Yep, can you hear it?
Maybe it's both. What's your favorite ecosystem tool or company, and what's your favorite animal?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear
you. My favorite animal are dolphins, and favorite tool, Hardhat, because I like to write code in Solidity.
Very nice. Richard, what about you?
I was probably going to pick Hardhat, but I think too Remix is awesome because the lack of friction to try things out.
Awesome. More plates, no dates says that Chainlink is the correct answer. But I said you can't pick Chainlink, so you have to pick something else. Sol, how about you?
It's definitely Remix because for teaching is the best tool.
Oh. And Richard and Sol, you didn't answer what your favorite animal was. Richard, go ahead.
For me, favorite animal is probably a wolf. I've liked them since I was just a young little lad.
Since you were a young pup?
Yeah, there you go. Fun fact, we actually had a wolf hybrid growing up. She was 180 pounds. She was a big girl.
So are you Richard Stark? Is that what we should start calling you?
No.
Your own dire wolf?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from definitely not the north, so.
How about you, Sol?
I love tigers.
Tigers. You wouldn't happen to have a tiger you could show us, would you?
Yes, I have it. I'll get one.
Okay. Kendall, Richard Lone Wolf confirmed. So we think that lone wolf in the competition is Richard, maybe because of the wolf connection there. Or maybe there's a couple wolf fans. I guess humans are animals. So if Tippy's favorite animal is Soul, the teacher, that makes sense. Game of Thrones in the house. Favorite animal is a puppy. A tiny one named Big Mac. That sounds pretty adorable. I do not have a tiny puppy named Big Mac, but now I wish I did. And then we've got koala. Eating eucalyptus. I don't know, where do you get eucalyptus, right? Isn't that what koalas eat? I don't think you can go to PetSmart and get one, but I guess we didn't specify pets. So, all right, let's move on to the next question here. So we've got about 10 questions left here. What's the latest version of Hard Hat? We may have had to update this question in the last couple days. Is it in red 100, blue 248, yellow 270, or green 283? And we've got some great answers in the chat. We've got penguin is the latest version of Hard Hat, and ferret. I'm kidding. $15 people got it right. 283 just released, I think, in just this week. Let's see what that does to the scores. Oh, Jason back up into second place.
I feel like ever since we said always blue is a good strategy, there's been a lot of blue picks.
Which is not a way to determine the contract address for a Chainlink data feed. Chainlink documentation, Ethereum name service, ENS, the graph, or the feeds registry. Where should you not go if you're trying to figure out the address for a feed? Victor had just downloaded Hard Hat and still got it wrong. But that's okay. This is NPM. This is software. It updates every day, and most users don't know what version they're using of anything, which means that us software vendors have to make sure that you do things. So, which is not a way to determine the contract address for a Chainlink data feed. Most people put ENS. There actually, if you check out docs.chain.link, you will find that we do support ENS, where you can just use ENS to type in or enter a pair name, and you will get back the proxy address for, or the aggregator address for a feed. So it was the graph is the way that you cannot get a contract address for a Chainlink feed. Ooh, Andy B is in second place here. What's closest to the current number of active Ethereum mainnet nodes? How many Ethereum, we'll specify 1.0 validators are out there running right now? So we got, is it red 1,000, blue 5,000, yellow 10,000, or closer to 10,000, or green closer to 20,000? Again, these are tildes. The number changes every minute. I'm not going to go figure out what the real number is. Another question for everybody in the chat. 30 seconds for every question. Is that too long or too short? Or just right? We got 19 people got this right. It was 10,000. Tony back up into second place, and Song on the leaderboard for the first time. What Ethereum testnet does OpenSea support? This is a personal annoyance of mine that everyone doesn't support more testnets, because when I want to use a testnet, I'm like, I want all of my software to work on that testnet. And when you have like these weird fragmentations where I like, this piece of software works on this testnet and this piece of software works on that testnet, it can be very, very frustrating. Too short because the stream with questions is offset from the quiz itself, so I only get 20 seconds. That is a great piece of input, Tippy. Thank you for that. We had originally put 20 seconds, but then we bumped it up to 30. So hopefully it's the right amount of pressure. Rinkby, most people got that right. 16 people got that right. Ooh, a complete shakeup. Jason's up, Song's up, Wombo Combo is up. This is a very tight game here at the top, though. Which blockchain has the highest current block count? We've got Solana in red, Polygon on blue, Ethereum in yellow, and Bitcoin in green. And we all know block count doesn't really matter, doesn't really mean anything. So this is just a harmless piece of trivia, hopefully. And any of these blockchains could have just like cheated and just like started at block 10 trillion, right? Like they could have, but they chose not to. Chi Ong commenting on testnet situation. Yeah, it is annoying to have to request various testnet coins. Solana. I think Solana, I had the exact numbers at one point, but Solana is something like 10 million? No. Yeah, Solana has the highest when we checked as of yesterday. Could have changed. I don't think it changed. They were orders of magnitude apart. Tony and Tippy back on the leaderboard. Which Chainlink product can take advantage of off-chain computation? Now, I'm realizing that this one is a bit of a misleading question, because one of these answers is half right and one of these answers is fully right. And so go with the one that's fully right. And we'll say in a decentralized manner.
It's one of those lovely, pick the best answer.
Pick the best answer, yes. Because I mean, 9 people thought it was any API, so the answer that was kind of correct here was any API, because theoretically, if you run a node, that is off-chain computation, whatever you do on the node, but people don't tend to use the nodes like that, right? They're using it more for decentralization. Whereas keepers, every time you do it, like, you don't actually have to run and operate a node in order to take advantage of that off-chain computation, right? It's done for you. Lone Wolf is a streak with 5 correct answers in a row. Tippy is up into 3rd place. Totaling Arc says VRF, which, I mean, depending on your definition of off-chain, I can see that. But how many NFTs are currently stored on IPFS? So I was not able to independently verify this number. So this number is based on what IPFS has basically claimed. Theoretically, you should be able to list how many files are on IPFS. I've just not found a way. If anyone knows how to figure out how many files are on IPFS, let me know. We got 5 million in blue. Was 14 was the most answered response, and yellow 12, which was the or 15 million plus was the right answer according to IPFS. Tippy jumping up into 2nd place. This is such a close game, though. Look at all these scores. Kendall Yoder says, I'm so bad at this. Which of these is a language for building smart contracts on the EVM? So we've got Viper in red, CosmWasm in blue, TypeScript in yellow, or Anchor in green. Which of these is a language for building smart contracts on EVM? Viper, yes. Almost everyone got that perfect. Nice job, everyone. Oh, Tippy dropping out of 2nd place. Maybe it was the speed of the response. I'm not sure. There's like 100 points separating Tippy and Jason. Lone Wolf is still in the lead here with a little bit of a lead. But Jat is back with an answer streak of 3. All right, I think this is 2 more questions. What open source license does Remix use? Is it MIT in red, Apache in blue, GPL v2 in yellow, or GPL v3 in green? I spend a lot of time talking about open source licenses. I have strong opinions on all of them. If you ever want to know what is the what with an open source license, feel free to ping me on Twitter or send me a DM. Tippy just sent that question about IPFS to Discordian. Okay, great. MIT, yes, that was pretty straightforward. Most people got that one right. And I think we're on the last question here. Let's check the scores going into the last question. Lone Wolf has 13,000 points, so I think we might have a winner there, but we'll see. Jason is at 10,000, Tippy, 10,000, Tony, 10,000. Wow, it is so close here in the final round. And so let's end strong here with the final question. Which spreadsheet tools can read this sheet and This question was not intended to be in here. This is from the template on Kahoot. Whoopsies. I told you this would be an experiment. I told you there would be mistakes, and here we have it. Let's see if I can figure out the answer. Which spreadsheet tools can read this sheet and export it? I mean, you can supply multiple answers. So that's how this one works. So with Kahoot, what you end up doing is you end up uploading an XLSX template, and then it imports all of the questions for you. Yeah, Melody, there's been a lot of product placement for Kahoot. Maybe we didn't pay enough to eliminate all this, right? We just need to go in and just say, don't show the logo and this bouncing image on every screen. Next time, we've learned something here today. All right, we're going to see, is the Kahoot question going to be the trick one?
Yeah.
They were all correct, I think. They all have check marks. So this is Kahoot selling themselves in terms of their compatibility.
This was the wild card question where the only thing that mattered was speed, I think.
Except no one got it right. 0 people said that numbers could edit XLSX files or export to an XLSX file, and they can.
I think you could only pick one.
No, you could pick as many as you want to. Right? I don't know. We will see here. So one of my favorite shows from College Humor is called Actually, where it's like they ask you nerdy trivia question. You have to like correct the questions every time by saying actually. The last question, they get away from all the nerdy trivia and they always ask like a real life question, and that like it always trips people up because you've got these like super nerds who know everything about Dungeons and Dragons or Pokemon or whatever, and it's like, oh, what does a carburetor do? And they're like, I don't know. All right, so that was the Blockchain Developer Carnival trivia. So this is just the first activity that we're going to be going through. In third place, we've got Tony. Got 15 out of 20 or 28. Jason got 15 out of 28. And Lone Wolf got 19 out of the 28 questions correct. And we've got some runners up, Tippy and Song. So congratulations to everyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to be taking these points and we're going to be combining them with the points from the coding contest. And so there's definitely more ways to win. There's definitely more ways to participate. And so let's kind of keep going here. So I'm going to jump back to our little slides.
Would you like to see my tiger?
Yes, we want to see the tiger. Here, let's do it, Sol.
Yes, I'm sharing. I think you need to choose.
I don't. Oh, there it is. Add to stream. There we go.
Yes. This was in Azul near Buenos Aires. This was in Playa del Carmen. And I really love all kind of tigers. So this is my collection.
Very nice. I do not have that many tigers. I have a green Android when I worked at Google, and I have a husky from Trello.
Oh, and this is my puppy. He travels with me. He had 23 years old. He's 23 years old.
Is that tiger years or human years? So what you're saying, Sol, is if people want to see your tiger, they should come see you at ETH Denver?
Yes. I'm sure that you can see my tiger in ETH Denver. And it's a fun fact because some persons are would like to try pictures with my tiger just now. The last conference here in Brazil, we have some persons taking pictures with my tiger. He's famous.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to jump back to the slides here. And so if anyone has to drop off, totally understand. But we'd, again, appreciate if you would take our survey and let us know if you're enjoying this event, if you think this is worthwhile. So bit.ly BDC survey. All right, now we move on to a little bit of hardcore programming. So this is going to be a coding contest. So you've seen coding contests before. This happens at a lot of different events. And we're going to be doing something very, very similar, focused on the blockchain space. And so because we're focused on the blockchain space, we can actually judge programs a little bit differently than we do traditionally. And so let me dig into a little bit of how we think about this. So these are relatively traditional programming questions. So if you've ever done a job interview at a company that asks like algorithms questions, this is the sort of thing that we're going to be doing. But we're going to be doing it using blockchain technology. So in this use case, we want everyone to use Solidity. I apologize to all the Solana, Wasm Cosm developers out there, or if you're a big fan of Viper, which for ease of judging, we wanted everyone to be using Solidity. And then the nice thing, because we're doing this in the blockchain space, is we can do things like give you points for how efficient your code is when it comes to the blockchain. So there's going to be 3 challenges here. Each challenge will take somewhere between 20 and 45 minutes from our initial tests. I don't know how long it'll actually take you. I'd be very curious if you're able, or if you're willing to share this in maybe the feedback survey. Send me a tweet, send me a DM. Just love to hear how this is working for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the challenges right now, and then you will have some time. We'll actually go off air for a little bit, give people some time to complete the coding challenges. Then we'll go ahead and judge them, and then we'll all come back and we'll talk, and we'll see what that's done to the scores. We'll see how this has affected things, and then we'll move into, we'll ping a few people and we'll say, hey, will you come on and do some speed running with us, and take on some of these live coding challenges in front of an audience, which is a much harder challenge to do code in front of other people, right? I know when I code in front of other people, I usually forget how to type for about 30 seconds. So the 3 challenges, work on them in any order, and then we have this document. It's going to be linked on every slide here, bit.ly/BDC contest, and make sure that you you pull that up, because that's going to have all the same details I'm going to present on the slides, but you can reference it later. So if we can put that link in the chat here, let's do that real quick. And let me know if that link doesn't work or anything like that, or if you have any troubles or questions. But I'm going to go through the 3 challenges really quickly. So challenge number 1, using a Solidity contract, write a method that takes 2 uint256 arrays and returns a uint256 array with only the items that are in one but not both arrays. So let's kind of go through this logically. If you're given an array with numbers like 1, 34, 5, 7, 62, and another one that has some of the same numbers, some different numbers, you should return an array with just the numbers that are in one of these 2 arrays, but not both. And for this, we want everyone to be successful. We want this to be, we're not as worried about edge cases as programming competitions or job interviews are. So order doesn't matter. We're not going to give you anything like any weird negative numbers, those sorts of things. Just trying to keep it relatively simple. We want to make sure that everyone here has a good chance at succeeding. I'll go through the second challenge here now. So using a Solidity contract, write a method that takes 1 uint256 and then returns a uint8. So what we're doing is we're taking a big number and we're going to be turning it into a little number. And the return value is what happens when you take the big number that you're given, take every digit and add them together. And I'll go through an example of this in a second. And then you have to repeat this until you have a number less than 10. So the logical example is if I give you the number 945, you take all the digits individually. So 9 plus 4 plus 5, which results in 18, which is still bigger than 10. So I have to keep going. So I'm going to take 1 plus 8, and I'm going to add those together. I'm going to get 9, which is less than 10. So I'm just going to return 9. And so again, there's lots of different ways of solving these problems. And the unique thing is, because we're doing this within blockchain, we can actually look at, okay, how efficient is your contract, right? Like we can say, how much gas does it cost to call your method on the number? And we can say, apples to apples, is someone writing more efficient code to do this? Is it a while loop more efficient? Is a for loop more efficient? What data structures should we be using to save these results? All those sorts of things. All right, challenge number 3. Generate a random number between 111 and 999 using Chainlink's VRF. But we didn't want it to make it that easy that you could just go and use Chainlink VRF and just copy the documentation. So you actually have to take that number and you have to make sure it has no even digits. So this is any of the individual digits of the number should not be even. And you have to ensure that your random number is still fair distribution. So you can't just say, oh, it's 777, which would be valid, but you have to make sure that there still is an even distribution. So examples of valid results. So these are all odd digits. So 577, 131, 999. But if you had any of these other ones, like 100, 083, 064, 293, 011, 583, those all have an even number in them, and so they're invalid. And so you have to find a way to take that number you get back from VRF and morph it into this special kind of random number. I'm checking the chat to see if people have questions about any of this, because I know these are a little bit complex questions, but as we saw, we have this doc that lays this out. So we've got the challenges written here with the examples. We do want you to be successful. So if you have questions, please call them out, because I think if everyone can finish the tasks, that's going to be better. You can work on them in any order you want. You can take as much time or as little time as you want, as long as all of your submissions that you want to be considered are in by 12:30. And so we'll award points based on, did you actually finish? Did you submit something by 12:30? Does it work? But then also, like, were you the first to submit a valid solution to a challenge? How efficient were you with the lines of code that you wrote? Does it deploy efficiently? Is it a small contract that you wrote? And lastly, how gas efficient is the primary method. So we've got this, for example, if you have a difference method for the first challenge, how gas efficient is it to actually call that on a couple of arrays? Similarly with the differencing, and then lastly with the fulfill randomness, right? When Chainlink VRF's node comes back and gives you a random number, how efficient are you at taking that random number and turning it into the thing we need? Is git push enough when the deadline comes? Yeah, you can definitely confirm on Etherscan later, but we do actually need it on the blockchain. So here you're going to write it. We want you to create a gist for us, so you can submit the gist to us. But then we also want to be able to look at it on Etherscan so that we can say, hey, it just makes it easier for us to, rather than like compiling every project that we get ourselves and then looking at the gas cost, we can just look on Etherscan and say, oh, here's the gas costs for deployment. So it's very clear kind of what the end results are. What other questions do we have? I'm sure there's questions. Sol, Richard, what do you think? What comes to mind? What do you think is confusing about these? Maybe let's talk about challenge 1. Anything confusing there that we could clarify?
Yes, can be good.
Yeah, I think that just to super simplify it, you're getting 2 arrays. You need to give me everything that's not in both of them. So just the unique numbers.
Yeah. All right. What about challenge number 2? This one is a reduction, right? We have to take a big number and turn it into a small number less than 10.
I will do a comment about this, not so related, but you need to do this kind of calculations in numerology, in the study of numbers.
So if we have any numerologists here, they're going to get a leg up on everybody else.
My mom studied.
I think they'll have an advantage, as well as computer science, like recent graduates will have a leg up. I know that every time I've applied for an engineering job, it's like, oh, I have to go remember all that stuff. Okay, I can do this. It's just dust off field skills, jump on hacker rank.
I know.
And so like, go ahead.
It looks like in the chat there's some questions about like advice for people who are new to this space. I don't know. After we go through the challenges, do you want to just take a moment and pull up Remix and talk through that and our faucets too?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things I'll call it, like in challenge number 1, because we're talking about gas efficiency, there's lots of different ways of achieving these things. So like, for example, you could use more disk space. You could use more memory, right? By like doing saving more intermediate states when you're going through these arrays. Or you could use more lean on CPU and keep your memory usage down, and then go through more loops. That is a choice for you, and you have to figure out what's going to be the most gas efficient. And then there was a question here. What is return value? Some unique random numbers, or string 1 appended by string 2? Purpled, can you clarify which challenge you're talking about? I think it's challenge 1. So it's given 2 arrays of any length, right? Which find all the numbers that are in one but not both arrays. So there's no appending here. There's like, you should just be so like one algorithm would be to go through every number over here and every number over there and like count maybe and figure out, okay, how many 1s are there? How many 2s are there? How many 34s are there? And then go through that array again and say how many have exactly 1. That would be one theoretical algorithm you could do to figure out the answer. All right, and then challenge number 3 is one of the harder ones, but it uses Chainlink VRF. If you haven't used Chainlink VRF before, I've got a link to both our VRF tutorial, which has a lot of this code written for you in terms of how to use VRF, and then also if you want to just read some of the documentation about VRF and learn about it more. And then you've got this programming challenge on top of that, where you have to take this fair random number and modify it a little bit. And Richard, you recommended I pull up Remix, so let me just do that here. So like, I'll click on the Chainlink VRF tutorial, and you'll see we've got videos on this. We've got instructions. We've got a lot of background. And then one of the nice things is that we actually give you contracts out of the box. And so let's imagine that this contract was going to give me exactly what I needed. I can just open it in Remix. And then it's relatively simple to see how this works. 2 things I'll call out are that in order for this to actually work, you'll need to not just deploy it on the JavaScript VM, you'll want to deploy it on a injected Web3 provider. So like make sure that you're on Kovan. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, and another gotcha is the contract dropdown, just a little bit below that. Often,
yes, it will always default to the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So
make sure whatever
I found that it always defaults to the wrong thing.
Yeah, whatever you're editing, the name of that contract, make sure that's what you've picked there.
Yeah, and then with VRF, the last gotcha is that you will need to fund your contract with Link. And so right at the top here of this example, you can see we have faucets. And so if I just copy this URL, go to the faucets list, I can paste in my address, my MetaMask address here, get out the test link and the test ETH that I'll need to deploy to Kovan. And then I'll have to send some of that link to my contract once I've deployed it. And that will enable your contract to pay for the VRF number, for the random number effectively. All right. Any other gotchas that we should talk about?
One thing when you're funding contracts, I don't know if our examples have a way of getting the link back out. We give it away in the faucet, but just FYI, if you don't add a way to get the link back out of your contract, it will live in your contract.
Some of our examples do, and some of our examples don't. The VRF D20 that I shared has a withdraw link function. So the owner is able to pull the link back out, but that is a common, I mean, in this case, it won't be too big of a problem. It's just ask for more link. But yeah, when you go to production, worry about how you're going to get your funds back out when you don't want to use a contract anymore. Definitely worry about that and make withdrawal methods for yourself. Okay, and then I'll just repeat the rules kind of one more time. So we're going to be, you can do these challenges in any order you want. You don't have to submit all the challenges. You can just do one of them. All submissions have to be in by 12:30 p.m. Eastern, which is an hour and a half from now. So we got an hour and a half. And then you have to submit your code via GIST and on actually public on a testnet Kovan. So the link to submit is in the doc, and I'll put all of this up in a second for everybody. Any other questions before we go off air and let people kind of take on these coding challenges? Oh, so I think there's no other questions from the coding challenges. Richard, you wanted to dive into this question a little bit. Did you want to give a broader consideration to kind of what advice people should have if they're taking this on?
Oh, I was just for the purposes of this kind of mentioning like the how to get everything set up specifically for the one where you need to fund a contract, because that one's a little bit more involved if you're new to this space. I don't have anything on hand to share with that, but I can definitely come back in the chat with something.
Okay, yeah, and there's always docs.chain.link, which is a fantastic place. So one of the things that we did over the last few months is we launched a brand new getting started section. So we pulled out all the tutorials, and so now there's just one place to say like, hey, let's give you the background information you need separate from diving into all the details about all the products. And
if you want like a complete introduction to the space, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you just Google Patrick Collins 16-hour video, you will find the video that our very own Patrick has made.
Yep. So we made a 16-hour welcome to blockchain video on Free Code Camp. Patrick did, and then we also we've been syndicating that onto the Chainlink YouTube channel. So if you just want the first hour and a half, you can just go to the Chainlink YouTube channel, and it's one of the videos that was posted in the last couple of weeks. Patrick is putting all sorts of smileys in the chat. Patrick, when's the JavaScript course going to be ready? This is the question he gets asked most often, because he did it. The first one was with Python, and there's plans for a JavaScript one, JavaScript TypeScript. Angel says that sometimes it feels like the Wild Wild West. I completely agree, and I would say that's actually something I consider our responsibility to help you be your guide and be your support to making it not feel like the Wild Wild West. Like that is something we want to do better and better at. So we're here for you. All right. Anything else before we go off air? I think, is there a Spanish version of the 16-hour course? Sol, where's the Spanish version and the Portuguese version?
Soon. We are preparing this.
I don't know if it's going to cover all 16 hours of content in the same way, but one of the things I'll say is Sol is absolutely amazing, but she can't translate everything and shouldn't translate everything out in the ecosystem. So if that's something you're interested in, is helping us translate some of this content, this definitely can be a huge community effort. And we can, if you're willing to help step in, we would love to highlight and focus your work and drive people to you. We just did this with our smart contract developer bootcamp, where we did a version in English. We've since done a version in English, and we did a version in Indonesia. So this is something that you can do. This is something you can be part of to grow your own career, to grow your own community, to grow your own influence. So just definitely reach out to us. Next Chainlink Hackathon, I'll just say we roughly do them every 6 months or so. And so probably around April. We have not set a formal date yet. Chrome Morris started translating into Spanish. Fantastic, yeah. How do we highlight that person's efforts? Because technical translation is much harder than like just lingual translation. It's a different skill set. I don't know if it's harder, but it's definitely something we should celebrate. So, all right, I'm gonna take us off, or I'm gonna leave the live stream up for now. And what we'll do is I'll put this little overlay on with the details. So if you are interested in going to the contest, this is how you go to that link. It has all of the attendee details of how to participate in the coding contest. And then we'll come back. We'll be back at 12:30 in order to start judging all these submissions. That's why the 12:30 deadline is there. And then we'll be back on air at 1:30 in order to recap. We'll show you some of the cool things that we've seen, some of the cool things we've found, talk about the leaderboard, and then we'll move into speedrunning. I will say we're going to be inviting a bunch of people who did great on the trivia and great on the coding challenges to come speedrun with us. And so if you do submit the coding challenges, definitely go and make sure your email address is in there. And then we're going to reach out to you and say, hey, come on the live stream and let's do some speedrunning. Let's do something even harder than coding challenges.
Hey, Stephen, there's one question. If there are questions, where's the best place to ask those?
That is a fantastic question. What do we think? YouTube chat or Discord? What do you think, Richard?
I think probably Discord would be easier for help if you're stuck.
Okay.
Than YouTube
So
chat.
which channel should we be in?
I don't know.
We got to pick a channel and then we'll. I'm logging into Discord right now. Tippy, where do you want the answers in Discord? So, Chainlink official Discord. We'll paste a link to the Chainlink official Discord here in a second. How about we just use the Tippy saying developer advice? So let's see what the pre-search for questions. I'm trying to figure out if developers or developers advice should be better. What's the difference between developers and developers advice? Yeah, let's Tippy. Patrick said we could make a new one. Let's just put it in developers advice. That sounds fine to me. It's not too busy, is it? Let's check here. Yeah, there's not a bunch of people chatting here. So yeah, put it in developers advice. So here is a link if you're already in our Discord. Tell Patrick to make tutorials, please. You don't tell Patrick to make tutorials. He makes tutorials. You have to tell him to stop making tutorials if you want him to stop. So here is a Discord channel, and then I'm going to try and find a link to join our Discord so that people have that as well. And then here is a link to the Discord. So if you have questions about this coding challenge, put it in the chat. And Tippy is already in there with the famous first. So you're going to see developer advice and just go first, or not first. Tippy's already said first. You have to say second now. But yeah, just ask your questions in here, and we will be taking a look. All right, thanks everybody. We will go off air now, or the live stream will still be up, but we'll be just absent for a little bit, and then we'll come back at 1:30 to see all of the amazing submissions that you put in by 12:30. So again, all the details are here or in that doc. Any questions, put them in developer advice. All right. Thanks everybody. It is about 1:30. It's 1:29. I'm a minute early.
Nice.
But we're coming back, and we're going to have a little chat, everyone. So we'll give everyone a minute to get back. And we have a special guest here as well. Austin, I popped you onto the stream. I hope that's okay.
Happy Bowtie Friday. How are you guys doing?
Doing wonderfully. So, Austin, to catch you up, I think we chatted about this, but we finished the trivia contest. We had a bunch of people. We had like 50 people participate in the trivia contest. A lot of people had some really good answers about the history of some of the technologies in the blockchain space. They answered really tricky questions like what's the minimum size of a uint? And then we went on to a programming challenge. And so we've been taking a look at all of the submissions that people have sent in for this programming challenge. We were thinking along the lines of, can you complete it? How gas efficient is it for deploying? How gas efficient is the main method? All those sorts of things. And now we're going to actually take a look at a few of these, and then we're going to do a little bit of speed running.
Amazing. So what is the smallest value in a uint? Like a uint 1 or a uint 2?
Uint 8.
Uint 8. That's the smallest you can do.
That's the smallest you can do.
256 is the highest value, right? 255? Neat.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for having me along. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here where I have remixed up with several of the submissions. Let me just find it here. Okay, I think I've got it. And we'll go through them in numerical order. And so StreamYard, share my screen. Big enough so that everyone can see. Close this. All right, and I'm going to first go ahead and remind everyone of the challenges. So let me see if I can find those challenges here. So challenge 1 was to take 2 different arrays and then difference them and return an array with all the items that were in one but not both of the arrays. And so one good submission on this, if I can navigate to where I am, here we go, did this with a couple for loops with nests in them. And so
that's my caveman. That's where my caveman brain goes. It's like there's going to be a for loop, and for each one of those, you're going to for loop again on all of them and check it.
Yep. This is a very it doesn't require any additional storage. It just requires some additional CPU because there's obviously trade-offs there between gas cost of storage versus gas cost of CPU. And so you can see array 1, array 2. If they match, then they have a matching values counter. And then if at the end of looping through the second array, the matching values counter is 0, then they push it into another array. And then they do kind of the same thing backwards. So array 2, then array 1, matching counter 0. And then at the end, they use that matching counters to create this array compared. And then so if you check that out, that ends up being the result. So let's go ahead and run this code. So I'll just use the JavaScript VM for a second. And we will deploy matching array elements. So they didn't take it as parameters. They just took it. They just hard coded the results, which is just fine. What we'll see is that we call our matching elements method, does the processing on the arrays that we've got here. And then we should see the result in the array compared here. No, where did they put it? Confirm answer, sorry. And there it is, 162, 9, and 6. So those were all the unique items in the array. So great submission. Thank you so much for that one. And I will jump now to the second. So obviously there's lots of different ways of doing this, but this was a great solution. Challenge number 2. So to remind everyone, challenge number 2 was to create a solidity contract that takes a uint256 and then kind of compresses it, reduces it, where you're taking a number like 945, taking each of the digits, adding them together until you get down to 10, and just doing this repeatedly. Obviously, again, there's many ways of doing this. One of the great solutions that we ended up receiving did this with recursion. And so they called out specifically that they needed to make sure that the method was public so they could recurse into it. And they just had a split and add method that if it was greater than 10, they said, here's the final number. Otherwise, they would call... actually, I think they said that they were going to use recursion, but they didn't actually end up using recursion. No, they didn't. They just... Trying to understand this. Because this works. Here, I'll show you. Here, we'll actually deploy it here. So let's go ahead and deploy this one. And
so reading the example again, you said given number 945, you need to take the digits 9 and the digits 4 and the digits 5 and add them together.
Yes.
So the result is 18. Okay, cool. Making sure I understand the challenge. Cool.
Yep. And so if we just say 945 here.
So is it about modding to isolate those other digits? Do you mod by 10, or it's just bit shifting? Maybe is it bit shifting? Do you just
so they ended up they got this very cool iteration where they have this thing called initial, and so they just, as long as it's greater than 0, they push whatever number it is onto an array, and then they reassemble the array into this final number. So this worked when we tried it. So let's see if we can figure out. Here it is. If it's more than 10, then they just call it again. I got it here. It is recursive. I was totally wrong. So if we look at the decoded output, so 945 becomes 9. And so like you can see a trivial number like 5 should end up in just the number 5, right? A simple example like the number 209 should end up being 2 plus 9 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we'll just run that.
So the stuff we were looking at the top is basically the packaging of the smaller digit once you get to it. But then at the bottom, each time it calls itself and probably divides by 10 all the way through, like each time, and divides by 10 and just loses those bits.
Yep. So yeah, I love this while initial is greater than 0, just as a way to get at the lowest significant figure. And then they just divide away the rest of the digits. So they just divide it by 10, and then they're on to the next one, and then they create a new array, which then they reassemble back into a number. And this is one of the kind of the core fundamental problems of this, and one of the other challenges is how do you operate on the single digit of a number in Solidity? So this is a very cool one. I'm just scrolling back to the chat. Yeah, Tippy said it called split and add down there at the bottom. You might be able to guess whose submission this was. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to look at the third challenge. So this one was a little bit more complex because it involved VRF. So to remind everyone, challenge number 3 was to generate a random number using Chainlink VRF. But then you couldn't just take that random number as it was. You needed to actually modify it such that it didn't have any even digits in it. And so you have this kind of cool computer science, the algorithmic, like how do you make sure that you have a fair distribution without any odd numbers? How do you take some piece of randomness and convert that? And I'll tell you there's probably lots and lots of tricks, but one trick that does work is if any digit is even, just add 1 to it. And what you'll see if you look at the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, they'll always have an equal number of incoming numbers. And so you can know that it's still a fair answer. And so let's go ahead and take a look at a code sample that does this. So again, we needed a source of randomness, and so we're using Chainlink's VRF here. So all of this code was literally copied directly out of, whoops, let's not open my email and stream if possible, or calendar. It was literally copied directly out of docs.chain.link. And so if you just go here, and then you just go into get a random number, you're going to see this super simple sample code that connects you up to the VRF consumer base on Coven testnet and gives you this fulfill randomness function. And so
it's calling back, right? That's the key. So there's something that I want to zoom in on here is like the calling back part where it's like we need to iterate on the thing and get the thing odd, but do we have to keep making randoms until we get an odd one? Is it like rolling the dice against the VRF? So it's constantly like checking the callback and trying
that is one way to do it. And that was actually part of the heart of this challenge is like, you could brute force it, right? Like while we don't have the number we need, keep paying for more and more random numbers. The other one could be like, you get a pretty large random number. you could use that and get out a bunch of randomness. Like you could use randomness expansion and get more random numbers and just keep doing that until you find the number you need. But by using the approach of just adding 1 to each of the digits, then you don't have to, you just ask for one randomness once, and then we can guarantee that it's going to be in the right range and matching the.
That's what I wanted to zoom in on. Is like we are separating that process. We'll ask for it once, and then we'll just like tinker with it from there. Yeah,
exactly. And so using this solution, what you're going to see is that you have this fulfill randomness method. Let's make this a little bit more legible. And we have to have 2 variables. Just we have final number, so this is the number that we're going to be returning to the user, and then we have this intermediate numbers array that we want to clean up between executions. So we take the random result that we get from VRF, we ask for only a number between 0 and 999, and then what we do is we iterate through the 3 digits of the number in the same way that Tippy did, to first take the least significant figure, then the next most significant figure, the next most significant figure, and then if that single number is even, then we increment it by 1, and then we push it onto an array, and then we just add up the array, and you have to do this numbers times 10 to the I in order to get the most significant figures out last. And so we can actually go ahead and try this. So let's go ahead and deploy this.
I feel like I get goosebumps on that last line with like type defing. Like I feel like I need to like uint wrap some of those things to be sure that like the math works out. I would be using hard hat and console logging a lot.
Yep, there's lots and lots of that's a great tip for while building it. And so the only way to test this is using a testnet or mainnet if you are feeling crazy. So let's go ahead and deploy our random number consumer here. And as soon as the testnet gets back to us, here we go. We've got a random number consumer. I actually have to take this and I have to fund this because you pay link for these random numbers for these. So we'll just send it 1 link.
How much gas can you use in those callbacks? Like we've talked about using VRF for like random NFTs, but if it was like minting the whole NFT on the callback, can you get away with it? You just pay more mint for more gas that's used, or more link for more gas that's used?
Yeah, there is an upper bound. I don't recall what the specific upper bound is. I would have to Google that. I don't remember it. I think it's 300,000. I don't remember. So like, it's not 0, but it's definitely not unlimited. So let's go ahead and jump back. Whoops. Where's my remix? Oh, here it is. So I think we funded it with Link. I hope. Let's actually take a look at the contract on Coven. Just check. Contract creation. Yep, and then we sent it Link. Great. So now we should be able to just request a get random number. And then as soon as that random number fulfills, it should morph it into a random number that matches our parameters. And so this is going to take a little bit for the VRF testnet node to notice that we got this request and send it back. But as soon as that happens, I will pull this up and then we will take another look. So that was the challenge. Hopefully that those code samples made sense. Learned a little bit. If you tried it out yourself, you learned a little bit about that. What we're going to be doing next is we're going to be getting into just a tiny bit of speedrunning to end the day off. Austin, are you going to stick around to do a little speedrunning with us? Awesome. We've got a harder challenge than last time, though, or a slightly harder challenge. All right, so let's just see if this came back. It did come back, so let's see. So we've got the randomness, which should be here. And why are these not loading? All right, I might just give that up. I know it works because we got it working earlier, but I don't want to belabor this. There it goes. So 139. All of those digits are odd. It came from some randomness, and probabilistically, one of them was probably even. So we did it. Hooray. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and we're going to move into speedrunning. And so I have a challenge prepared, and a lot of the people that were participating in the coding challenge and the trivia contest have decided not to opt into being live on stream, which is totally fine. And so if it's okay, Austin, Zach, and Andre, if you guys are willing to be my speedrunners today.
We have one volunteer from
we do?
the event in our chat.
Awesome.
Singularity.
Singularity, how do we get in contact with you to give you the invite link?
I have them on Discord right now.
Okay. Do you want to send them this link privately? And then maybe Andre, Austin, and Singularity can do the challenge here.
You can
help me commentate.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
All right. So Austin, Andre, if you want to start getting whatever development environment you want, whether it's Remix, whether it's Scaffold ETH, whatever you need, go ahead and start getting that ready. And then I will lay out the challenge. I didn't know I was
actually speedrunning today.
If you're willing to.
Are there any hints about like what kind of stuff we're building or what we need?
Yeah, we're gonna build a relatively simple contract. Think of it as an overly simplified Twitter, a decentralized Twitter. Singularity, do not worry about your level of confidence. We are all here to learn and grow. Just waiting for Singularity to pop up in the chat. And there you are, Singularity. Hello and welcome to the stream.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
coming through loud and clear. So same instructions to you, Singularity, as we give to Andre and Austin. If you want to just get some sort of development environment ready, whatever you need, whether that's just a blank remix, whether that is hard hat, truffle, whatever you need. And then we will have you share your screen in a sec. And Andre just dropped off, so maybe it'll just be the two of you then. We'll see if Andre can get back on. He's been having some internet issues.
And the hint was a Twitter-like interface. So it makes me think kind of like event-driven, like am I firing events? It makes me think like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. All right. Here is the challenge. I'm going to put it in the chat just so that I can highlight it for everybody. Okay. It came through very weird, but the challenge here is to create a simplified microblogging platform, like dramatically oversimplified. So we're not going to compete with anybody here. Basically, you need the ability to post messages. So it should have like a message, a date, a submitter via your contract. And you need a function that returns a list of posts by a given submitter and a function that returns a list of submitters. So we don't need a feed. We don't need any UI. I mean, Austin, I know sometimes you like to go above and beyond. But effectively, we're just going to say you need a method that you can post new chats into this microblogging platform. And then users need to be able to list the submitters and list the posts of a submitter. So theoretically, you can imagine how you could build a front end on top of that in order to access all of that content. And so Austin, Singularity, do you want to share your screens? And then Andre, if you're participating as well, love to share your screen.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this challenge because I'm not familiar with message.date, but I'll give it a shot. Are we expected to build a front end?
There's no actual messaging.
Okay.
Like a message in this context is a string.
Okay. All right.
All right. So we've got Austin's screen here.
Is that me? Yeah. So just getting started on a contract, I basically have a function to post, right? And then I'll have that message come in, and I'm just going to emit an event now. And so we need to get posts.
Do you even need to emit an event, Austin?
Let me ask. So it's kind of goes into the get post and the get submitters. What are the getters? The getters need to be the posts for. Do the posts need to be on chain? Is what I'm trying to determine at this point, right? So what does the get posts need to return?
A list of posts from a submitter. So
give you, like,
imagine,
dynamic?
so let's say we've got the three of you here. If the three of you are all submitting posts into the system, we need to record that you submitted that post, and then Zach should be able to query and say, what post did Austin do? What post did Zach do? Or what post did Singularity do? What post did Andre do?
Okay.
So Andre is coding away here. He's got a Twitter contract.
This feels like it needs a struct, right? It feels like it needs a post struct. I think I saw his.
Yeah, I was thinking like a dynamic array.
I'm cheating and looking over there, but I feel like this needs to be a post struct, and we're going to have to add to the struct. This is going to be a lot. We're going to have to iterate through the struct. This is a lot of solidity.
I'm hoping it doesn't get too complicated. My hope was that there's just a few relatively simple arrays, but we'll see here. So Andre's got Singularity. Are you going to share your screen, or are you?
Yep. Well, okay. If I share my screen, will it kind of overwrite his screen, or will both be?
No, I'm in control here.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Let me try to share my screen now.
So Andre's got a post method that adds to a map. So he's got a mapping from the address to a post array. Let's see how Austin's doing. He's got a public array of posts. Yes, we are.
Yep, I need to turn mine into a mapping. I'm realizing that now. I can have an array, but I need a mapping to the array. I'm stealing because you're ahead of me, and that's the right way to go, and I'm going with it too.
That's a very valid way to play this game.
What I've realized is that at the end of the day, I want to make sure everyone's successful, and so borrowing from each other, it's great. It's part of good development, right? Like, you wouldn't just go and try and build a platform like Twitter all on your own. You'd be like, what does Twitter do? All right, Singularity's got a string array of compared items. Let's check on Andre here. So Andre has his posts array already being populated every time a sender. So he's using the mapping from the sender of a post into his new post structure, which has a timestamp, a sender, and a message. Let's check back on Austin. Austin's taking his posts array, which he's pushing into a mapping. I'm not sure if you can do that, but how's Singularity doing? Singularity's got the method here. It's taking in an input. So this is the string that someone's posting.
Creating an event. So very useful for front ends.
Yeah, I mean, so if we actually did want to end up building a front end for this, you would absolutely need events so that, like, you could update the UI whenever there's a new post. Oh, awesome. Looks like Austin has some identifier not found or not unique. Yep. I will tell you, I suffer with Solidity syntax more than any other programming language I've ever used. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like too different or if just the concepts are more complicated, but I get them wrong every time. I put public before the uint. I put memory in the wrong spot. Like
so far, it just be like fat fingering and me messing up. Like,
well, I think what I'm seeing there is that posts is not an. Oh no, you've got post message sender, so that should be a mapping now. Okay, let's take a look back at Andre. What have we got? He's admitting a new, so he's adding an event here for the new post. And let's check back on Singularity. He's got his new method. He's got a counter. Interesting. Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So my approach is.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my approach is this. So I'm going to have a dynamic array, and to record the person that's actually tweeting, I'm going to I'll just emit the message sender value at the time the function is called.
Makes sense. Yeah, I love that there are absolutely different valid structures you could use to store all the tweets, right? And actually, this structure is more optimized for like a feed.
Yeah, I forgot the syntax for an event.
I think I'm done.
Well, let's take a look back at Andre and see how he's doing.
I think I'm done. Just need to check if
What?
this is
You
working.
can't be
Wow,
done.
Andre.
You were admitting event like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, I'm like 30% of the way through it.
Okay, so I have submitters and get posts of this submitter. Let me just copy paste it from here. I think
How do
this
you
is
do
it.
get submitters?
It's a
Do you
I
have a
just
second
have an
submitters
array.
mapping? Okay.
No, I
And you
have
just
a
push like an
submitters
address
array
array you
and
push
just
to?
check.
Dope. I'm copying
Exactly,
that
yeah.
too.
Just yeah.
Okay.
That's
All right.
cheating. So
Let's take a quick look at how Austin did. So you've
Oh,
got
it's the syntax of the brackets. It should be parentheses for the event. That was the issue.
Got
okay.
it. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
Austin really wants to finish this at this point.
Let's get it in.
did I won?
Andre, I think you
Oh,
won.
syntax of that.
F1.
It looked
You
good to
definitely
me.
won. I'm close behind you, but I'm copying you half the time, so I don't think it even counts. But great work. Yeah. See, the cool thing about Scaffold ETH is now I can go build the front end and actually like the messaging app.
Do you need those events that I told you to delete? All right. Awesome. All right. Should we do one more, or should we end it here?
I think we're good. I don't know, like whatever, man. Is this?
Andre's like, I'm good.
I will take my
won it.
victory.
Yeah, I won it, and it's okay.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up.
I love that it's hard to stop. Like when there's like a challenge in your brain, you're like, I gotta figure this out. It's if anyone's heard the term nerd sniping.
Okay, I mean,
This is a first.
it compiles. So that's good. At least.
Hey, most of the world's programs don't compile, so that's a big win.
Yeah, so I guess you could add these struct to kind of keep track of everything on chain, but if you did want to build a front end, I guess this could be another way to do it if you're going to use like Etherscan as well. So it's a design choice depending on what you want to do. But with this in its current state, you can't actually look it up. I would have to add the struct or add another like mapping or some other way to record message.sender as opposed to the event being emitted.
Awesome. All right. Well, Andre, you wanted to stop here. Singularity, Austin, do you guys want to do one more challenge, or should we just call it?
It's up to you guys.
Whatever.
Let's do it. Let's do one more challenge.
Okay.
Andre, did you want to drop off, or did you want to? Would you be willing to go again? All right,
Andre,
I think
the
he's
guy that
frozen.
just mopped
I
the
think he
floor
just
with
froze.
us, he definitely should stay and do more. If he's gonna he should stay and play. Like he's the best. Like
He
he's
just
the
froze,
one, he's
though,
the one
so-
doing it. Oh.
His internet connection is not the best, so we'll just proceed with you, Austin, and you, Singularity. All right, are you ready for the second challenge? You want to like reset state, get back to
Sure.
We should
Or you
do
wanna just, like,
a
leave?
Scaffold ETH challenge. We should do challenge one of Scaffold ETH. We should do a decentralized staking app.
I feel like Austin
I feel-
is already prepared for that.
Okay, yeah.
You've got-
No, this would be one that I would be showing off. I would be shilling this one. I've done this one. I can do this one in my sleep. No, it's all
All
good.
right,
It's all good. You call it.
All right, Singularity and Austin, are you both ready for the second challenge?
Sure.
And Andre, what is Andre back? I thought I saw him there. Andre, you should definitely be in on this.
His internet keeps connecting and disconnecting, so I'm going to leave him out, unfortunately. Okay, so this challenge, again, it's too long for the comments feature, but build a smart contract that allows participants to submit NFTs or just like an address of an NFT to a registry, and then let the audience vote for their favorite NFT in the registry by paying ETH into the registry. And so when you pay ETH into that registry, it's effectively a vote for the NFT of your choice. and then we can let's actually leave off the keepers piece. Let's just say and then have a close method that awards the received ETH to whatever contract or whatever NFT had the most, whatever had the creator of the contract that had the creator of the NFT or submitter of the NFT that had the most votes. Singularity. I can't see your face. I think Austin half got
That's
it
awesome.
with my muddled
that's a lot.
explanation.
That's a lot. Okay. Submit an NFT to a registry, and then let the audience basically, with a payable function, vote on their particular favorite of the NFTs in the registry, and then a close method that basically sends the value to the that's like Gitcoin grants, man. I think that's a complicated product. I hear you though. So and then a close function that rewards the highest voted NFT, the ETH that was voted on like everything. So like all the money that goes in goes to the highest voted one. Is that right?
Yep.
All the money of all the votes. So if I vote for the other one and a different one wins, my money goes to the different one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes. And I mean, clearly don't build this in reality, because like if you would just submit your own NFT and then you would just like pay more, you just like, I'm going to put $1 million on my own NFT and just collect the pot. But so don't build this for real.
Yep. Wait, hypothetically, even though I just want to have keepers, I think the way you would do it is like, this is at least how I use keepers from my experimentation, is you would do like kind of like a counter, so to speak, like a block the timestamp or some way of checking the time, and then count the current votes to see which one is highest. If it's just two different values, then you can do that. But if you want to sort through a bunch of different NFTs, then you have to figure that out as well.
Is my screen still up? I just got my my app working also on the last
Your
challenge.
screen is still up.
Okay, great. There's the last challenge right there in Scaffold ETH. Okay, now NFT registry, right?
Now NFT registry. So
all right.
Effectively, you're going to need a submit NFT register or submit NFT method that says, here's the contract address of an NFT I really like, and here's me, and it stores that with some sort of payable. And then you'd need a close method that would iterate through, and then a vote method that will, submit NFT, which takes in an NFT and the submitter, a vote method that takes in what NFT you want to vote for and some payable, and then a close method which goes through and figures out which NFT won and distributes out the funds to the submitter. Tippy asked, why would you vote for someone else's NFT? In my head, in designing this challenge, you'd have a very small number of NFTs that people are submitting and a very large number of people voting. And ideally, you'd be supporting the creator and not the voters, right? All right, so Austin's got a submit NFT method, a vote method.
So yeah, let's think through this. So we need to have an array of NFTs. Now the NFTs themselves probably don't need to be, the thing is we need to go through the votes. It's the votes that have to be somehow either tracked and added. Maybe we create a mapping with just a uint for because we have to iterate through the votes. We have to find the highest vote, right?
If we have to iterate through it, I think mapping with struct.
Right. We're getting into structs and arrays of structs and iterating through arrays of structs again. Right?
Do you need an array of structs? Like in my head, you would just keep an array of the NFTs and a mapping from the NFT to the vote dollar amount,
and then roll through the array
to the submitter.
Yeah.
And then roll through the array.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could just be a mapping. Yeah, I'm overthinking it. A mapping to like a uint, and that would be the counter, I think.
A mapping to an array, just like the last one, right? Like that last structure.
No, I don't even think you need a mapping to an array though. I think you need an array of NFTs, and then a mapping from NFT to submitter, and a mapping from NFT to vote dollar.
So we'll have the address for the NFTs, right? And we'll push that as they come in.
I like the collaborative nature of speedrunning now. We're like, how are we all going to help this and figure this out together?
Well, we don't have if we had Andre here, he'd just be kind of like wailing through it, right? We got to work through this together here.
Yep. And we got a question from the comments. New solidity, can you do an array of tuple? Yeah, you absolutely can. It wouldn't be a tuple, it would be a struct. So you'd have a struct that has multiple types, and then you do an array of that struct. So that's absolutely possible. And then you could just iterate through all those. But I think it would actually be more difficult than to add up at the end, because when you call the close method, you'd have to do all the math to add up all the votes, versus if you're just maintaining a mapping to a vote dollar total, then you don't have to do that. You just have to iterate through all the submissions. So great question. All right, jump back to Austin. He's got his second mapping here, vote totals. He's adding the vote. Singularity is in the submit method. Oh, and to clarify, so Singularity, you don't need to pay to submit your NFT. You only pay to vote.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No civil resistance at all. Gitcoin grants would shake their fingers at us here.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so can we talk through the deliverables again? So we need to be able to submit an NFT to the registry. Then we need to let the audience vote. Oh, and then there's a close method. Got it. Where the best one gets paid out, right?
Yep.
And it'd probably be a heavy-handed, like admin only kind of close function.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
we're not even we're just
Yeah.
tinkering around with the structures and returning money and catching money. Okay, here we go.
Okay. And Singularity is requiring a payment of 1 Ether to vote.
It's an expensive vote.
Interesting. If you fix
one way.
the cost of a vote, then you wouldn't even need to store the vote total. You could just store the number of votes. Interesting. Heading back to Austin.
For loop, doing a for loop. Can we limit?
What?
Yeah, you like it? Can we limit it to uint 8 for I? Am I even saving any gas by doing a uint 8 here? That would mean that if we had more than 255 NFTs, it would break. Should I do that, or should I not even do that?
I don't know how many NFTs are going to submit to your.
I don't know.
contest.
Is it even gas efficient? That's what I don't even know. Like if I change this, I don't even know. It seems like a uint 8 would be more gas efficient, but we can find out in a second.
I don't know if it is because it's not stored. See, this is where I'm not a solidity gas expert. Actually, Patrick is in the chat. Patrick, is it more gas efficient?
Bring in the big man.
Is a for loop with a uint 8 more efficient than a for loop with a uint 256, even though it's just used for memory iteration and never stored? Because like at a assembly line, like uint 8s don't actually save you any space, right? Like the register is still bigger than that, right? And so while you can efficiently store it, I don't think you can more efficiently compute it. All right, let's hop back to Singularity here.
Yeah, so I'm actually thinking instead of submitting the NFT, couldn't we just use the mapping? Because by default, a mapping isn't null and it has a default value of 0. That was kind of my idea and why I'm kind of like hesitant to actually do the submit NFT, because we already kind of have like everything at 0 initially.
But then how do you know what NFTs people are voting on? Oh, you're saying you don't even need to submit. People can just vote on the entire universe of NFTs. Yeah, that could work. But then who do you know who to reward? Like, how are you going to find the creator of an NFT?
We can make this a struct.
Okay.
And then try to have it look up like that.
Then how are you
for now
going to populate that?
Yeah, so I'd probably put the struct with the address of the person that voted and the count, assuming that there's only one vote, so to speak. Are we just trying to see for each NFT there's only one vote, or are we going to have a list of everyone that voted?
I mean, theoretically, like a lot of people could vote on a lot of NFTs, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I could make an array. probably an array. It's like a dynamic array. I could try to build that out.
All right, hopping back to Austin for a second.
Grabbing that calls to send from Solidity by example, classic. I'm doing that part in the close function where we grab whoever the best NFT address was and send to it. Is that right? This dude?
So
and we send him the whole value of the whole contract, right? So it's like address this dot balance, something like that. I'm not even going to require it. Should I require it? We're not playing fast and loose with this contract. All right.
I guess as a prototype, I'm going to just have it so that I have two NFTs that I'm comparing and just one person voting. I know it sounds really basic, but I just want to at least have that.
Yeah, I am a big fan of always just like get the first principles working, and then you can make it bigger, make it more dynamic, and solve the scaling problems, right?
All right, let's work through a demo in my front end. I think I have the thing up, and I want to see if it works or try it out.
Hopping back to Austin for a second here.
Okay, so I have a submit NFT function. I have a vote, and then I don't know. This probably isn't going to work, but this is me like thinking through the process of how we're doing. So I need to submit a couple NFTs. So to get those addresses, I'm just going to pull up some burner wallets locally. So this guy will have an address that I can steal, and I'm going to put it here for the NFT. So really, this is just a dude's address, but I'm going to say that's the NFT.
We're pretending it's an NFT.
We're pretending. And then I'm going to set, let's set one other NFT to like, can I just copy my own address? Yeah, that. Set another NFT to austingriffith.eth just so we have an address. Okay, so I've got two NFTs. I should be able to.
And you've submitted them both? So you're guaranteed to win no matter what?
Yeah, we said we got two. I think there's a 2 there. It feels like I submitted it. I'm not sure, but I think so.
If you submitted both, then you're guaranteed to win. If you submit all the NFTs in the contract.
Right, of course. Civil resistance. Yeah, this is a civil. I just created all the accounts and submit. Right. But no, this is a cool product. This is a cool prototype. So we've submitted the NFTs for 2 different projects, which like we're working on NFT projects to help funding public goods and like having them be like these retroactive public goods funding NFTs. And the method of funding them is just basically YOLOing ETH to it, which is exactly what this like mechanism is doing here. It's letting people vote and then YOLO to it. So I feel like this stuff is we're building some cool stuff here. Okay, I'm voting for this dude. I'm saying. I have to vote with my money too, right? So I'm going to need some more money from the faucet here. But I'm going to vote, what do I have? 0.03. I'm going to vote with 0.01 Ether, right? Here we go.
Big spender.
Send it in. Now the contract should earn some value, right? This contract now has $27 in it, right? And I voted. And if I just do vote totals for one address, this isn't going to work. This is going to this isn't working. I'm not adding up the total here. This needs to return. Okay, I got more work to do, but I'm close here. I think it's very close.
All right, we're gonna jump back to Singularity. How's it going, Singularity?
It's going all right. It's kind of tough to code live. You get some nerves.
It's one of the hardest possible things you can do. Absolutely.
The best is when you forget like the syntax, like for the payable, and thought it was transfer, but it's not. I'm basically trying to I'm putting in a dummy variable right now just to check, but like you would transfer all the funds, I guess, from the contract, assuming that it's the only vote, because I'm just trying to make it really simple.
Sure.
And yeah, I might have to look up the payable function. Again, I have a few examples, I think, on my GitHub, but is that allowed? Are we allowed to look up stuff?
Dude, I've been copy and pasting this whole time, man. You gotta look stuff up. Solidity by example. All right, so it worked. It actually paid out to the address. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was stuck in the mud on a different example. So can I run through it one more time, just like redeploy it and
sure.
Show it off? Okay. Okay, so brand new deployment. We should see this contract address here update as that gets deployed. There we go. Okay, so we have a fresh contract. I have 2 addresses now, so I'll use this address as NFT1, and I'll use this address as NFT2. And by the way, like NFT, this NFT2 has some money now because he won it in the last election. So maybe we're on round 2 of the retroactive public goods funding, and Optimism is dropping some of their verifier fees, something like that, network fees. Here we go. So there's 2 NFTs submitted. Okay, so I'm gonna get in and vote for. I'm gonna vote for this guy. This guy's gonna win this time. We're voting. With another $27 from that guy, and maybe even this guy wants to vote on it, right? Maybe he can get in and vote on this too. So he's voting for his competitor for some reason, but he'll put in 0.001. What is that, like $2 or something? $4. All right, there we go. So we have a couple votes. They're all for this dude. So it's not really testing my, like, whether or not I did it correctly in Solidity, but we should be able to see, now when I close this, it should count all the votes. I should have had it like console log some more information out, but there I closed it, and that guy gets the $30, right? So he got both the 27 and the $3. I would need to obviously write some better tests for this, and maybe we can just like look, if you wanted to look back at the close function. I think that's the contract if we wanted to go through it, see if I'm close.
Yeah, no, I mean this looks right.
Boop, 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 boop. Cool.
Awesome. And then we're gonna check one more time on Singularity. How's it going over here?
I think I'm running out of time, but yeah, again, I'm trying to just aim for one person, and then I would put the address of that one person here, call voter, and then I would do something like votes cast. And then the voter would be recorded by message.sender down here.
And I'll call you out, Solidity, Singularity. You were the only one to attempt all 3 challenges.
Really?
So kudos to you.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think I was going to be able to submit any of them, but like I just kept like trying everything, and stuff started to stick. I'm like, okay, now I understand what's happening. The third one, I barely did. I didn't distribute it properly, but yeah, I just kept trying. I mean,
persistence is one of the most important skill sets, like for a computer scientist or for an engineer. Like, you don't know anything to start. We know nothing, right? And we have this entire world, and this world changes every week.
Shit's complicated.
Right? Like, if I look at the industry, the blockchain industry today, and it's harder to become a blockchain developer today than it was a year ago, because the number of tools out there, the number of choices you have to make, it just keeps getting harder and harder. And all the code samples, like in the very beginning, there was like 2 tools. And so you look at the code samples from those 2 tools, and it was great. Like, you just do that. But now we have like 50 tools. Every tool is on like version 2.0, version 3.0. And so it's like, how do you keep up with all of this? So persistence is the most important skill set, I would say, for any developer doing anything in blockchain. All right. Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close this event now. So I want to thank you to everyone that did the trivia in the morning. I want to thank you to everyone that did the coding challenges, as well as obviously to Andre, Singularity, and Austin for doing this amazing speedrunning challenge, which I think we all... I love watching the thought process, because just seeing how people think about these things, and like how can you simplify it? Can you simplify it? Can you simplify it? Is one of the most fun parts of programming. Is like, because again, everything is impossible until you start, and then you figure it out little bit by bit until you get there. And that's how everything gets done, right? Whether it's the first day of programming or 100th year of programming, right? It's always the same. So thank you to everyone. And then I will be sending out the prize links. So if you were in the top 10 across all the challenges, I'll send out the link to get some of your Chainlink swag. Thank you again for everyone for watching. Thank you, Singularity. Thank you, Austin. And we'll see everybody soon.
Of course. I got to say again, thank you again for having me on. I was very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Good work, y'all. Happy Bowtie Friday.